Taxes. Everyone pays taxes. People have been cashing them out for 4,500 years. America was started because of the colonial protest against the British taxation policy in 1760. Being an American includes paying your taxes. But what happens when these tax laws go against our very civil liberties? Here are some of the loopholes or things people do to get out of taxes.
We showed that literally tens of thousands of Americans were hiding their income and their assets overseas illegally. A lot of them in Swiss banks. We went after a lot of Swiss banks that were aiding and abetting American taxpayers to avoid paying taxes.
Well, they're dishonest primarily in their tax reporting. So they either underreport their income, they claim more deductions or expenses than they're allowed. Some people will hide or transfer their assets, and claiming personal expenses as business expenses are just examples of how people can evade their taxes.
If you're running a business and you have a lot of net income at the end of the year, say that you have $100,000 worth of income, one way to avoid paying taxes, it's not evading, but it's legal, is that you go out and you buy, say you're in a construction company, you go out and you buy new trucks, so you reinvest your income into your business, because with depreciation, you can take off to $100,000 in a year. So it helps you with your business to buy new equipment with some of your profit. So that's one way.
Apple, give you an example, shifts its intellectual property to itself offshore and avoids paying taxes on almost all of it. Other corporations, for instance, hedge funds, use a gimmick, a loophole in the law called carried interest, which allows the big guys at the hedge funds to pay actually a lower tax rate than people who work for them. It's just a loophole that's in the law.
The top 1% of American households earned an average of $1.26 million in 2014. The bottom 90% quintile got an average of $33,068. And since 1965, almost 6 decades ago, income inequality has only worsened. In 2014, the ratio of CEO pay to worker wages skyrocketed from 20-1 to 303-1. Since the rich gets richer faster, their piece of the pie grows larger, while everyone else sees their piece of the pie shrink by 2%. Too large of a wealth gap can be unhealthy for economic growth, in part because richer Americans save more of their income than others.
The issue of inequality, which I think actually is behind almost every controversial economic issue that we have today. It's fundamentally, I think, in my simple-minded way of looking at it, an issue of whether or not the pie gets bigger over time. If the pie gets bigger over time, we can all get better off. If the pie doesn't get bigger over time, then one person becoming wealthy must mean other people must become poor.
The question isn't whether there's income inequality. The question is whether income inequality is widening. I think that the last 35 years have seen an increase in income inequality.
Wealth gaps are never fair or equal, but they're caused by different reasons. And some of those reasons aren't fair because you have an unfair playing field in that some people have advantages they don't have any barriers to entry into being successful, whereas other people, due to various factors, could be race, could be gender, whatever, they face barriers to entry, which makes it an unfair system. And but then again, you have other factors too, where it might be somebody has the ability enter the playing field, but maybe they choose not to for whatever reasons and all that. So essentially, I think it's not a fair system if people aren't allowed equal access to enter into the same playing field. But if it's based on somebody's desire not to participate, then I don't think it's unfair. But if somebody does have a desire to participate and they're not allowed to based on various factors, then I think it's very unfair.
Having a truly progressive tax rate can only help to keep income inequality in check. Sure, the US has a progressive tax system, but in practice, there are gaping loopholes. Closing up this loophole by taxing capital gains and dividend income as regular income and leaving a hefty estate tax are two of the several tools our society can use to fight income inequality with this tax reform.